Finding hope when your year didn't go as planned. Welcome to your social university, where everyday life becomes the classroom. Today, we're having an honest conversation, one that many of us need but few are willing to have. It's the end of the year. You're looking back at your year, and if you're honest, you feel disappointed. Those goals you set with such enthusiasm in January? Most of them are still undone. The person you promised yourself you'd become? You're still waiting to meet them. Maybe you feel like a failure. Maybe you're wondering if you should even bother setting goals for next year. If that's you, I want you to know something. You're not alone, you're not a failure, and this moment can be the turning point that changes everything. The truth about unmet goals. You're in good company. First, let's get real. Most people don't accomplish their New Year's goals. About 80% abandon their resolutions by February. By year's end, less than 10% have achieved what they set out to do. You're not facing a personal deficiency, you're facing a common human challenge. The real problem: when we don't achieve our goals, we blame ourselves or our circumstances. I'm not disciplined enough. Life got in the way. But here's what I've learned. The problem is usually the gap between your aspirations and your systems. You set ambitious goals, that's good. But did you build the daily habits and support structures to make them happen? Goals without systems are just wishes. And wishing isn't a strategy. What this year revealed. Here's the truth. This year wasn't wasted. It was revealing. Every unmet goal revealed something. Where your true priorities actually lie. Which obstacles are real and which are excuses. What motivates you and what doesn't. Where you need help or new strategies. That's not failure, that's information. And information is the foundation for transformation. Reframing your story. You're not behind. You're positioned. One of the most toxic beliefs we carry is that we're behind in life. Behind schedule. Behind our peers. Behind where we should be. But here's what I need you to hear. There is no universal timeline for success. Abraham was 75 when God called him to his destiny. Moses was 80 when he led the Exodus. Colonel Sanders was 65 when he franchised KFC. You're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be to learn what you need to learn to become who you're meant to be. The power of failed attempts. Thomas Edison said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." You now know which approaches don't work for you, which goals aren't aligned with your values, which habits stick and which don't. That knowledge is incredibly valuable. Most people waste decades pursuing the wrong things. You've shortened your learning curve. Divine timing. If faith matters to you, consider this. What if the delays aren't denials but divine repositioning? What if God allowed this year to unfold exactly as it did because you needed to develop character before capability? Because the timing wasn't right? Because the blessing you're chasing would have destroyed you without proper preparation? Joseph spent years in prison before becoming second in command of Egypt. David was anointed king but spent years waiting before taking the throne. Your waiting is not wasted. You're being prepared for something your current version couldn't handle. The path forward. Start with radical honesty. Ask yourself, what did I actually want this year? Not what you should want, what you really wanted. Why didn't it happen? Be specific, dig deeper. What was in my control? Focus here, this is where your power lives. What am I willing to change? Not what you should change, what you're actually willing to change. Build systems, not just goals. Instead of, I want to lose 30 pounds. Try, I will meal prep every Sunday and walk 10,000 steps daily. Instead of, I want to be more spiritual. Try, I will read my Bible every morning for 15 minutes before checking my phone. Goals are destinations. Systems are vehicles. You need both, but the system is what actually gets you there. Start small and get support. Don't try to change everything at once. Commit to 10 minutes of exercise, 3 days a week. Then build from there. Small wins build momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence enables bigger wins. And you cannot do this alone. Find an accountability partner, a mentor, or a community. Asking for help isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Final thought. The fact that you're still here, still trying, still hoping means you haven't given up. And as long as you haven't given up, you haven't failed. This is your classroom. You are the student. The lesson isn't over, it's just getting started. I hope you enjoyed this lesson from your social university.